And welcome to the Midday News on Sri FM. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kasmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Scores of patients left stranded at Kolebu Teaching Hospital as allied health professionals withdraw OPD services in protest of appointment of a head of department. We'll live there shortly. Also coming up, support for NPP's 2024 presidential ticket declines in its stronghold of Ashanti region in latest Global Info Analytics survey. Details coming up shortly. Much later in the package, we ask a Japadia, a mere fiction or state capture plot? Stay tuned in. Thank you very much for joining us today. Now, despite the governing New Patriotic Party's resolve to gain at least 85% of votes from the Ashanti region, two polls conducted in the region show a decline. This is contained in the difference shown from these two opinion polls conducted by the Global Info Analytics. The initial poll was organized shortly after the governing party named Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh as the flag bearer's running mate. The NDC's John Mahama is, however, gaining votes in the region, which is the stronghold of the MPP. Let me bring you a summary of the poll put together by the Global Info Analytics. Now, it says that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had 65%. That is against what it had, the vice president had earlier in that previous poll. We'll bring you details of that. In this latest survey, John Mahama, the flag bearer of the NDC, had 24%. Alan Kwadwo had 9%. Nana Kwame Bediako had 1%. Others 1%. Let me bring you details of the previous poll. After Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh was announced as the vice president or the running mate to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, in that previous one, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had 73%. John Mahama had 15%. And Alan Chermanting had 9%. Cheddar had 2%, others still remained 1%. Now, the new poll points to lost momentum in the region as Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia dropped by 7.6% and Nana Bediako, popularly known as Cheddar, had 1.3%. John Mahama gained in the poll, and his gain came from Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Nana Bediako. Again, demographic analysis of the poll suggests that John Dramani Mahama made gains among all age groups, within the largest coming from 64 years plus. Now, analysis of the poll again shows that during the period, John Mahama gained nearly 6% floating voters, and Alan Kwadwo gained 13%. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Nana Bediako lost 16% and 2% of floating vote. So that's 2%. Nana Bediako have losing 2%, and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia losing 60%. So what exactly is accounting for the latest results? I spoke to the executive director of the Global Info Analytics.
This is a normal opinion poll, which are largely or entirely close-ended questions. And these results are obtained by randomly interviewing voters in those constituencies that we deploy voters in. In this round, we interviewed 1,392 voters from 14 constituencies in the Ashanti region. And basically what they told us is what we are reporting.
They told you is what you're reporting, but I'm just wondering how Bawumia dropped in just days, because when you did the last survey before this one, after NAPO was unveiled, the numbers were very high, 73, and then in just a matter of days, Bawumia has dropped to 65. Can you tell us, for you, what you think is accounting for that drop?
Now, let me take it from the respondents who said they were MPP and those who said they were NDC and floating voters. And I think that will give us a better insight as to what happened between the period. If you look at voting intention of NDC people in the Ashanti region, compared to the first poll we conducted, it declined by just 0.6%. But those who are MPP and voting for Bawumia went up plus 2%. And Alan went down minus 1%. Now, NDC voting for Mahama up 0.6%, and NDC voting for Bawumia up 1.3%. However, I think the damage for Bawumia came from the floating voters. In between the periods, he lost 16.6% of floating voters in the Ashanti region. Alan gained 13.2% of the floating voters, and Mahama got 5.5% of the floating voters. Now, if you look at the age demography, you will see that there is a loss of vote for Dr. Bawumia among voters between 18 and 24. He lost nearly 8% of that support. He lost nearly 11% among those between 25 and 34. He lost 10% among those 35 to 44. And he lost just about 3% among 45 to 54. And among 55 to 64, he lost 1%. And among those who are above 64, he lost 15%. So on the basis of party affiliation and age demography, Mahama gained quite a lot across all the age groups. And those people were coming from floating votes.
I know you mentioned three major factors, or rather the results from your survey gives us three major factors for which people would vote. Still, the economy remains number one. You still have jobs and you still have unemployment or employment contributing to their decision. But within this short time, I'm still just trying to find out how Bawumia lost that much. At the point you even mentioned 16% within a particular group.
Yes, I mean, if you look at the key issues for people in Ashanti region, highest is economy, still 75%, jobs 71%, education now has dropped to 4th position, taxes has overtaken education in top 3 issues in the Ashanti region. And on these issues, I don't think there are positive news for the government on economy, on jobs and taxes. So overall, you could see that people are reacting key issues and how they believe that the candidates are going to be able to address them.
So let's talk about, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Okay. What we also see that if you compare the results we have in terms of, let me look at this data, whether Matthew Opoku Prempeh's appointment is going to influence you to vote for the MP. When the announcement was made, likelihood it was 62%. Unlikely it was 21%. Neutral was 17%. Now, those who are saying he's likely going to influence them has dropped from 62 to 58%.
And you heard the Executive Director of Global Info Analytics, Musa Dankwa, speaking to me earlier. We'll bring you more of that later, but let's bring in Ibrahim Abubakar, a man in the Ashanti region, and he's been following this as well for us. Ibrahim, we know the two parties have been focused on improving their numbers in the region. How are things shaping up on the ground beyond what we just put out in that survey? Okay, we've lost Ibrahim Abubakar on the line, but we'll reconnect to him and bring you what the situation is like on the ground. As you just heard, the latest opinion poll, a survey by Global Info Analytics, is suggesting that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the flag bearer of the governing MPP, is dropping in terms of how many people are approving him in the party stronghold, the Ashanti region, and John Mahama is gaining more in that stronghold of the party. So let's find out whether really this is a reflection on the ground, as it were. Ibrahim Abubakar reconnects with us now. Ibrahim, just tell us how things are shaping up on the ground.
You come here and you engage people, and it's a mixed reaction to the latest post. For the MPP, they believe that this is not a true reflection for what's happening on the ground, because when you look at these 14 constituencies that the sampling has been done in, you look at New Edubiase, Chedumase, Offenso North, Mansour Bibia and the likes of Afful North. These are constituencies that the vote margin between MPP and NDC is not that wide. In fact, for these constituencies, the NDC has won the seat before. So they believe that these are constituencies that the NDC has a number of people in it. So it's possible the random assembly may have fall on NDC members, and that's why they're having this kind of support. But they were expecting the research to be trickled down to constituencies like Bantimam and Shia and also the like, so that they realize that it was done fairly. But for them to sample only these constituencies, even for Kwadaso and the likes of Mansour Bibia, that we all know as MPP stronghold, in recent times they've had issues in that constituency, and for that matter, they have a divided front. So they are saying that these are some of the factors that led to the findings that they are seeing. But then they wouldn't take the poll on a lighter note. They work towards it and ensure that they appreciate their vote. But you come to the side of NDC and they see this as a true reflection, because they know that looking at the economic pressure, looking at how Ashanti region has been neglected in terms of road infrastructure and other development projects, they are not surprised that the NDC is rather appreciating its vote. Mind you, the NDC is targeting to get not less than 1 million votes in the Ashanti region, which they've never gotten to, but this is what they are targeting. Then we have the MPP also wanting to appreciate its vote in the Ashanti region to 85%, something that they've not even gotten 80% before, but they want 85% this time around. So it's an interesting development, but all of them say they will have to continue working and ensure that they are able to get their respective targets.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Ibrahim Abubakar. He's our Ashanti region correspondent. Let's return to Accra, where patients have been left stranded at the Central Laboratories Scan and ENT department of the Kolebutichin Hospital due to the withdrawal of outpatient services by the allied health professionals. The group has withdrawn its services over what members say is a refusal by management of the Kolebutichin Hospital to appoint a director for their department. Daniel Opoko is our Labour Affairs correspondent. He'll be joining us very shortly, but he's been speaking to, or he actually spoke to some of these stranded patients earlier.
I came here to run a lab test, and I was told that they are on strike.
Are you disappointed?
Yes, please.
Why?
I'm disappointed because it came as a surprise to me. Yeah.
So now what will you do?
Okay, so I'm going. I'll come back another time.
To check whether they have called on this time.
You said?
You come back to check whether they have called on.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Then what is going to happen to you or the patient to whom you are supposed to take the lab test?
Oh, what is going to happen to me? Okay, I would say I'm actually frustrated. Yeah. And I hope likewise with other patients too.
You heard some frustrated patients at the Kolebutichin Hospital. They're frustrated because allied professionals have decided to withdraw their services, OPD services. We'll bring you updates as and when they happen. Now, the government is set to lease Commander Sugar Development Company Limited to an Indian-based firm, West Africa Agro Limited, for a renewable term of 15 to 20 years. Minister of Trade and Industry Katie Hammond says that this initiative aims to revive the company's operations to meet domestic demand. Now, the factory is currently undergoing a test run in preparation for full production. This comes after almost 8 years of inactivity after the Eswal Mahama government revamped the factory in 2016 through a $35 million loan from the Indian Export-Import Bank and an additional $24 million investment. Now, during the tour of the facility yesterday, actually on Wednesday, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Katie Hammond, announced that the government is prepared to lease the facility to West Africa Agro Limited for up to 20 years with renewal options. Listen.
A lot of things went wrong with this factory here. A factory of this capacity, even now, should be costing about $18 million or so. 2014, 2015, there about when it was constructed, it shouldn't cost $36 million. But this was built at a cost of about $36 million at the time that I've indicated.
Minister for Trade and Industry, K.T. Hammond. We're joined by Ransford Chatman Vaniamwa. He's a former secretary and management board member for the Commander Sugar Factory. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Finally, the factory is seeing some activity after several years of its shutdown, as it were. This must be good news, isn't it?
It isn't a good news. Not at all.
It isn't good news.
No.
Okay, tell me why.
It's not a good news because this factory was set up as an import substitute. But what we are doing today is not production from the local farmers. They have imported brown sugar, which technically is known as raw sugar. And we are bleaching that brown sugar to make it white, as a refining of raw sugar to make it white. And that's what you're doing. So how does this become a good news for us? Because, the propensity of this government going on import is so outrageous and very ununderstandable. Because if you're in this country and we import millions of dollars, over $500 million of sugar cane worth of sugar every year, and we are setting up a factory to minimize the importation. If Commander Sugar Factory comes to life, if we produce sugar from Commander, it will minimize about 25 to 30% of import.
So what would you say to those who say that it's better late than never?
No, but what is better late than never? What I'm saying is that although the factory has been sitting idle for about 7 years, and they are in their 8th year, but now if they are working, they should rather buy sugarcane from the outgrowers. They should develop sugarcane by the factory so that they produce sugar locally. That is what I'm talking about. So if I'm saying this is not a good news, it's not a good news because they are depending on import.
They are depending on import.
Of raw material, not sugarcane that they are importing. The raw sugar. Then first crystallized sugar is in a brown state, which we call raw. That is what they are they've imported.
Per your argument, I probably could guess that you are not happy also about the contract, 15 to 20 years contract given to this Indian company.
But I am not surprised about this because, the minister, this very minister, K.T. Hammond, he's son of selling state assets. Because you remember in 2001 when he was the deputy minister of energy, he sold a drill ship, and we all know how this drill ship.
Mr. Vaniamwa, I don't think that is a fair. I don't think that's a fair comment to characterize the man as being fond of selling state assets.
This man becoming the minister since last year that he became a minister, he has never set foot into Commander until just about 3 days ago.
You do not think that you need documents to prove that he is fond of selling state assets before you make that allegation. Otherwise, you may have to withdraw that.
The drip ship issue, is it an issue that I'm first raising? Are you not aware that he rather led the sale of the drip ship?
Would you like to withdraw that until you bring evidence to prove that he is fond of? Because I don't want you to make a statement without evidence.
The dress ship issue, I am not the one saying it. I'm only referring you about the dress ship issue. How he negotiated for the dress ship sale. So I'm telling you that today he's a minister and he wants to sell the Commander Sugar Factory.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Ransford Chatman Vaniamwa. He's a former secretary and management board member for the Commander Sugar Project. And let me say that we cannot substantiate those allegations he's made. When we do have evidence, I guess we can have a proper conversation on that. Thank you for speaking to us. Let's bring you the story about patients who've been frustrated at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital because allied health professionals have decided to withdraw their services. Our Labour Affairs correspondent Daniel Opoku is on the line with us. Daniel, bring us a situational report. How is it looking like there?
Right, so this morning at the Central Lab Department, unfortunately, patients who went there for lab tests and were full blood counts were asked to go because of they have withdrawn the OPD treatment, which they indicated 3 days ago. So, and right from there to the scan unit, the same problem, and also the EMT department, the same issue happening over there where they have decided to withdraw OPD. So when you go there, for instance, we will be given a doctor access to conduct a lab test or lab test. Unfortunately, we may not be able to do that because of the ongoing strike. What are they asking for? The members of the allied health professionals are asking the management of Kolebu Teaching Hospital to set up a directorate for them. And unfortunately, that has not been done. And for several years now, they have been fighting for that. And with regard to this, they are of the view that from Monday, they are likely to see full-blown strike. And the full-blown strike is going to be nationwide. And that really is going to affect healthcare delivery. Just Kolebu alone, you have about 1,500 members who are allied professionals. So look at the quantum number that we are talking about, and if they when they continue to delay, obviously the whole sector will be disturbed.
Daniel, are you able to tell us how management is reacting to this? Because this is actually like a protest against management.
So we tried on Wednesday to speak to the Kolebu management led by the CEO, Dr. Ampoma, but he declined comments. This morning we also spotted him at the teaching hospital where we even attempted to speak to him. Once again, he declined to speak on that. But what he told us was that even he declined to speak to us on camera, on phone, or audio recording. But what he told us in confidence was the fact that they have been able to officially write to the Fairness and Salaries Commission and also to the Public Service Commission for them to step in and look at the content of what exactly constitutes what would be the scheme of service or the job description and all that for in case the director is appointed to head the directorate. That's what they have been able to do. Initially, they issued an advert asking for somebody with a qualification to acquire that position, but because the people of the view that they also have the capacity to be able to manage the affairs of allied professional services, they believe that advert should be withdrawn. That advert has been withdrawn. The position is vacant. Kolebu Manu has officially written to the Public Service Commission, also the ministry, for them to step in. That's where we are now. And in case they're unable to resolve the problem between today up to Sunday, because they are essential health service providers. So they're unable to solve the problem within these 3 days. And obviously from next week, the problem is really going to escalate and patients are going to be extremely stranded.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Daniel Opoku, our Labour Affairs correspondent. Hopefully management of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital responds to this very urgent issue. You're still here on the Midday News on 3FM. It's 23 minutes past 12. Let's bring you this and a debate regarding whether the NPP government has since 2017 been implementing a plot geared at capturing state assets for persons connected to President Afful Adu's family continues unabated. The Ochehene Osajifo Amoetio for Repenning II, whose image is on the front page of the book, was the first to directly address the said publication head-on, describing it as falsehood. President Afful Adu has become the latest to address this as well. Listen.
In the run-up to the 2008, 2012, and 2016 presidential elections, and Madam Sani, I'm not here to settle scores. I was the target of numerous false and malicious stories aimed at attacking my credibility and integrity. In 2008, baseless allegations of drug trafficking were spread, along with numerous rumors about my health intended to cast doubt on my ability to serve as president. President Kufuor was also accused in 2008 of having sold all of Ghana's gold reserves. Again, the 2012 election saw false reports of my alleged arrest in London for drug possession and fabricated quotes designed to stir ethnic tensions. In 2016, it was alleged by sympathizers of the opposition that I had killed my late wife. Today, with a few months to the December 2024 elections, they are at it again. A fabricated document entitled Ejapadia is being peddled around by operatives of the opposition as evidence of a grand scheme by my party to annex the state the assets of the state. These experiences underscore the importance of discerning truth from falsehood and the need for all of us to remain vigilant against the dangers of misinformation and disinformation.
You heard President Afful Adu reacting to that Ejapadia controversy. Now, the New Delhi team to put the question of whether the responses provided so far puts the matter to rest. Listen.
In 2016, it was alleged by sympathizers of the opposition that I had killed my late wife.
I'm sorry, we'll bring you that later, but you're still here on the Midday News on 3FM. And the Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission has implored hunters and bushmeat traders to strictly adhere to the ban on the closed season for wildlife. The Commission says that adopting this practice will promote the conservation and sustainable utilization of wildlife and also allow it to breed and procreate. The period between 1st August and 1st December is the closed season where hunting, capturing or destroying of wildlife species is prohibited except for the grass hatter, but with a valid license for the Wildlife Division of Forestry Commission under the Wildlife Resources Management Act 2013, Act 1115, and we'll be bringing you more of that later. Yes, here on the Midday News, here on 3FM. Let's go to Parliament now, because the Public Accounts Committee has urged the Ministry of Employment to expedite efforts towards the payment of workmen's compensation with interest to affected employers. Employment Minister Ignatius Bafwewa, while addressing the committee, stated that some claims have been settled, but others remain outstanding, and the ministry is considering involving the Attorney General's Department to facilitate these payments. The Ministry of Employment appeared before the PAC after the Ministry of Roads and Highways, with the Ministries of Gender, Employment and Sanitation also scheduled to appear. Noble Crosby Annan is there for us. He joins us live on the line. Noble, just tell us what's happening.
Well, I can say that the Public Accounts Committee sitting for the day has just ended. It saw the Ministry of Gender take its turn to face the committee. There's also the Ministry of Roads and Highways. They also took their turn. Employment Ministry, as well as the Local Government Service. They've all taken their turns to face the ministry. One of the key things that stood out was when the Labour Minister was engaging the committee on the issue of workmen compensation that has to do with injuries that employees get or accidents they get when they are on the course of duty. The concern has been that these compensations do not come as early as expected, and they come without interest. So during the engagement, in fact, the entire committee, the members were all in agreement that these payments be expedited and they come with some levels of interest. In fact, the Minister is also wanting some prosecutorial powers for some of the agencies under ministry so that they can go after employers who may decide not to be paying these employees their workmen compensation when the need be. Beatrice.
Well, that's my wish, but my wishes sometimes cannot be what will prevail. So far as, let me honestly admit that relationships, in relationships, anything at all can happen at any time. I may not be able to foretell exactly what will be happening in the next 24 hours, but we are trying as much as possible to preempt any such issues and be able to develop strategies to avoid them.
And you heard Ignatius Bafwewa, he's the Employment Minister, responding to that question posed to him by members of the Public Accounts Committee. Earlier you heard Noble Crosby Annan, who is monitoring proceedings at the Public Accounts Committee for us. And that's how we end the news here on 3FM. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us today. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Have a good afternoon.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3 FM.
If you're searching for a dial on radio that puts sunshine in your heart in stereo, look no further for no other than 92.7. Feel the heat in stereo. If you're searching for a dial on radio that puts sunshine in your heart in stereo, look no further for no other than 92.7. Feel the heat in stereo.
Imagine a day where the entire family will converge with music, food, family, amusement park rides, so many games, and all your favorite personalities at 3FM. Welcome to 3FM's Family Fun Day at Gazebo Accra Park in Jolu on Founders Day holiday, August 5th, 2024. Join us for a holiday of excitement, fun, and a celebration of the most precious thing of all.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3 FM.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. Coming up, General Agricultural Workers Union criticizes government over plans to lease Commander Sugar Factory to Indian firm for 20 years. We'll hear from General Secretary Edward Karewe. Also, the Ghana Stock Exchange clears the air on fears surrounding untapped equities market. We'll hear from Managing Director Abena Amoa.
There are concerns around someone will take over their business. We haven't seen that experience in this market.
Plus, Ghana sets to deepen trade ties with Brazil following official launch Chamber of Commerce. My name is Manu Afful. We have details of these and more lined up for you. Don't go anywhere. Now straight to our first story. The General Agricultural Workers Union, GAWU, has criticized government's decision to lease the Commander Sugar Factory to an Indian firm for up to 20 years. Trade and Industry Minister Katie Hammond stated that the move was necessary to revamp the facility, which is valued at over $50 million. In response, GAWU General Secretary Edward Karewe questioned why a Ghanaian company was not selected to manage a factory in the country's interest.
Should come out and tell us why they were not running the factory. If I could remember, I believe some people, community members of that area, came to the Jubilee House, and His Excellency the President promised them that it would be run within, is it last year or last 2 years? But it never happened. So if today the government, in this case led by the trade minister, thinks that he must lease it out to a foreign company to run, this for us is another form of sale. Because why are we leasing it out? Is it that there are no competent Ghanaians to run the factory or what? Why would Ghana build a factory and then allow it to waste for 8 years? Even though I'm not a technical person, it is common sense that when machinery is kept on use for many years, it will run down, apart from the fact that the machinery will become obsolete.
That was General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, Gawu Edward Kariwe there. Now, most Ghanaian entrepreneurs appear to shy away from the equities market over fears of potential takeover. In light of this, opportunities in the market remain untapped. Managing Director of Ghana Stock Exchange, Abuna Amwa, is therefore encouraging business owners to take advantage of the equities markets and raise permanent capital to expand their businesses. She spoke on the sidelines of the facts behind the figures organized by her outfit.
There are concerns around someone will take over their business. We haven't seen that experience in this market. We ask you if you sell 20%, 25% of your business and it enables you, because equity capital you don't pay back, enables you to have permanent capital that you can really deploy into the company. Continue with the GSC's requirements around good corporate governance practices. I think Lesego has demonstrated that very clearly today through the impact report that they shared with us. The details around how their business is actually impacting what we call the everyday Ghanaian, right? And it's a positive story. And that's why for us, the equities market remains an important segment that all business people, all entrepreneurs should talk to the stockbrokers, should talk to us at the GSC. We'll support them to prepare them and bring them to the market.
Well, that was Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Abuna Amwa. Stay on Ghana, because Ghana is set to deepen its trade ties with Brazil following the official launch of a Chamber of Commerce. The move is expected to, among other things, build sustainable economic growth and shared prosperity for both countries. Edinam Eji Sika is founding president of the Brazil-Ghana Chamber of Commerce.
We have the best cocoa, and also if you look at the trade balance, currently we still do a lot of exportation in the area of our oil and petroleum crude to Brazil, and the trade balance looks good, but it can be better. On our side, we have a few things that we import, but there are a lot more things that we can bring from Brazil, because there are a lot of countries that we go to do trade. I don't want to mention countries, but I think that Brazil is the best option in terms of the quality of the products that they have, from clothing, even when we talk about like government businesses like construction, and they have already worked here in Ghana. You know, a lot of huge projects that are coming from Brazil already. So we hope that this continues, and instead of looking elsewhere, we will look to our closer friends who are in the southern part of America and, you know, build on our shared similarities. All we know is that we want to increase whatever the balance looks like now. It may take a long time. I wouldn't say 2-3 months, because these things take a lot.
Founding president of the Brazil-Ghana Chamber of Commerce there. Now, trade associations in the country have expressed confidence that the newly passed Ghana Shippers Authority law will help address recurrent challenges expressed by shippers over the years. The law is expected to empower the GSA to protect the interests of shippers and shipping service providers and improve its regulatory oversight of the entire industry. Dr. Humphrey Ayimdake is the president of the Association of Ghana Industries.
To the shipper, it gives us the capacity to engage with our agents in a very equitable manner. The role of the Shippers Authority is well defined. They become a form of a referee to aid us create the equity that is needed in the cost of doing business, especially from the port of entry, where our various costs that feeds into our productions are raised by virtue of the agent's role. So we welcome this document. Going forward, as explained by the minister and the CEO, an airline will be developed, and we will contribute to this airline to deepen the mechanism of implementation. Where there are gray areas, we believe we'll use the airline to perfect it. And therefore, the Association of Ghana Industries, and from the perspective of shipper, welcome this act fully.
Dr. Humphrey Ayimdake is president of the Ghana Association of Industries. Meanwhile, the president of Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obing, is optimistic the new law will positively impact the cost of doing business in Ghana.
We have always been saying that the Shippers Authority do not have teeth to bite. And we have been propagating the fact that we are facing so many challenges at the port, especially from the shipping lines that we deal with. And so we have been propagating all this while that we revise their laws so that they can have proper mandate to control. Cost of doing business in this country is just too high. And that if this act seeks to empower Ghana Shippers Authority to do just that for us, to make sure that some controls are brought to bear so that they can approve of some of these charges or disapprove so that we can have the respite to do our business and also grow.
That was President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Dr. Joseph Obeng. Well, that ends Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more stories, kindly log on to our website on www.3news.com. My name is Manu. Afful. Do stay tuned. Urban Blend is up next.